Okay, so today we're going to talk about completing the square. But first, I want to show you a nice little trick that we can do whenever we have perfect square trinomials. So if you look at this first example here, x squared plus 14x plus 49 is equal to 4. So if you were to factor the left-hand side there, two numbers that multiply to 49 but add to 14, well, that is 7. Okay, and so 7 times 7 will give you 49. 7 plus 7 will give you 14. So it actually factors to x plus 7 squared. And all of this is equal to 4. Now to get rid of that squared, if we were to solve this, we would take the square root of both sides. So that would leave us with x plus 7 is equal to plus or minus 2. Which means that we have two solutions here. So we can have x plus 7 is equal to positive 2, and x plus 7 is equal to negative 2. If you solve for x, subtract 7 from both sides, you will get that x can either equal negative 5 or x can equal negative 9. The key here is to recognize that factoring this left-hand side here will result in a perfect square factored form. If you look at the second equation here, x squared minus 6x plus 9. So it all comes down to this sign here. In the first example, it was a plus, therefore we had x plus 7. In this second one, two numbers that will multiply to 9 but add to negative 6 are going to be negative 3. So since that sign there is negative, I have x minus 3 squared is equal to 20. And I would just go through the same process to solve. Okay, I'm not going to do it all the way out, but there is this perfect square trinomial here. You just got to make sure that you are following the sign. So if this first sign is plus, then the factored form is plus. If this first sign here is negative, then in the factored form it's a negative. So let's actually talk about completing the square. It does have a lot of steps, but I'm going to walk you through each of them. So your first step is to rewrite it as ax squared plus bx is equal to c. So you will move that constant to the other side of your equal sign. Then you will divide both sides by a so that it becomes x squared plus bx is equal to c. Then you will complete the square. You will take half of b, square it, and add it to both sides. Then you will factor it using the perfect square trinomial method that I just talked about, and then you will solve for x. So there's a lot of steps here, but let's go step by step. So first thing, we need to rewrite this expression here as ax squared plus bx is equal to c. So I'm going to subtract 56 from both sides. That will give me x squared minus 18x is equal to negative 56. If you notice, my a value is 1. So if I divide both sides by a, it already gives me this form here of x squared plus bx is equal to c. So I don't necessarily need to divide by a, but then I come to the next step. I will take half of b, so negative 18 divided by 2 is negative 9. Then I will square negative 9, which gives me 81. Then I will add that to both sides of my equation here. So I would have x squared minus 18x plus something is going to equal negative 56 plus something else. That something is this 81. So you will add 81 to both sides. If you were to factor the left-hand side here, two numbers that will multiply to 81 but add to negative 18, it's going to be negative 9. So x minus 9 squared is going to equal negative 56 plus 81 is 25. So now I will solve using my square root property. So I will take the square root of both sides, and I will continue over here. So I have x minus 9 is going to equal plus or minus 5, which means that x minus 9 could equal a positive 5, or x minus 9 could equal a negative 5. So in this first case here, whenever it equals a positive 5, subtract 9 from both sides, add 9 to both sides, my mistake, and you will get 14. If you add 9 to negative 5, you will get 4. So your solutions are 4 and 14. So let's look at another one. We have 2x squared minus 16x is equal to negative 30. So it is already in the form ax squared plus bx is equal to c. So now we just divide both sides by our a, which is 2. So that gives us x squared minus 8x is equal to negative 15. Then we will divide our b in half. So negative 8 divided by 2 is equal to negative 4. And then we will square that, which gives us positive 16. So to complete the square here, we are going to add 16 to both sides. Now, if you notice this answer right here, whenever you divide your b in half, that is actually what your factored form is going to be of your perfect square trinomial. So since it's negative 4, you will have x minus 4 squared. And then negative 15 plus 16 is a positive 1. Take the square root of both sides. You get x minus 4 is going to equal plus or minus 1. So you can add 4 to both sides. So that means that x can either equal 4 plus 1, which is 5, or x can equal 4 minus 1, which is 3. So your solution set is going to be 3, 5. Let's look at this next one. 4x squared minus 8x is equal to negative 3. So again, it's already in the form ax squared plus bx is equal to c. So we just divide both sides by our a, which is 4. This will give us x squared minus 2x is equal to negative 3 over 4. So we're going to have a fraction here. Don't freak out because of the fraction. We are going to divide our b in half. So negative 2 divided by 2 is going to give us negative 1. And then square it to give us positive 1. And that's what we will add to both sides to complete our square. Okay, so we will add 1 to both sides. So we will have x minus 1 squared, again, because this is a minus 1, that's what your factored form is. So then negative 3/4 plus 1, that's the same as 1 minus 3/4, which gives you 1/4. Solve by taking the square root. If you take the square root of 1/4, that's the same as taking the square root of 1 over the square root of 4. The square root of 1 is 1, square root of 4 is 2. So you will end up with x minus 1 is equal to 1/2, plus or minus. So that means that x is equal to 1 plus or minus 1/2. So you can either have 1 plus 1/2, or x can equal 1 minus 1/2. If you add a half to 1, that's the same as 3/2, or 1 and 1/2. 1 minus 1/2 is 1/2. So x can equal 1/2 or 3/2. Our last one here is going to be a little bit trickier. but the same process applies. So it is already in the form ax squared plus bx is equal to c. So we need to divide both sides by our a, which is 3, which gives us x squared minus 10x is equal to 23. I will take my b and cut it in half, and then square that number. So I will have negative 5 squared, which equals 25. And that's going to be my number that I add to both sides to complete my square. So my factored form here on the left-hand side, since it's a negative 10x, or this value is negative 5, my factored form is x minus 5 squared is equal to, well, 23 plus 25 will give us 48. Take the square root of both sides. You will get x minus 5 is equal to, now if we break down the square root of 48, well, 6 times 8 gives us 48, 3 times 2, 2 times 4, you can break down 4. So I have a pair of 2's, a pair of 2's, and a 3. So this reduces to 4 square root of 3. So whenever we take the square root of 48, we get plus or minus 4 square root of 3. So that means that x is equal to, if you add 5 to both sides, plus or minus 4 square root of 3. Since there is not a square root of 3 attached to that 5, we cannot combine this any more than it already is. So your final answer, one is 5 plus 4 square root of 3, and the other one is 5 minus 4 square root of 3. And that's how you do completing the square.